Hello. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can draw and make this festive Grinch puppet out of a single sheet of paper using my simple folding template. Welcome along. My name is Ben Stanley and I design and create paper-based working replicas of beloved Muppets, puppets, characters and creatures, and I really love showing you how to make them. But I also know that a lot of you don't have hours and hours to make these really complex constructions. So this series is all about how you can bring your favourite character to life in no time at all using a single sheet of paper. I'm going to show you how you can draw and construct your very own version of this puppet using my folding template, which you can purchase right now from my online shop for less than the price of a coffee. And this template is going to be the basis for all of the single sheet paper puppet tutorials that I'll be sharing on this channel. So if you buy it once, you can use it again and again to help create your own collection of mini paper puppets. Should we get into it? This is how to make a Grinch puppet out of a single sheet of paper. So the first thing you can see me doing here is cutting the template in half so that we can focus in the first instance on drawing the face. This little cross I'm drawing on here is going to really help us anchor the details of the face, starting with the nose, which we want to be slightly off centre to the left. And then we'll add the eyes equally off centre, which for now are these oval shapes. This curved line is going to be one side of his mouth, and then the next line the other side, with, albeit, a slightly different curve. And with all these facial features we're adding, by having the cross there, and even by using the folding lines of the template itself as a reference, you can check your version against my example, which should hopefully help you get the right proportions you need. And I'm all for using grids in order to help get the structure and proportions correct, because once you have that right, everything else you need to do should fit into place. So this is the mouth that curves down here, and we'll do the same on both sides, adding the curved lower lip, then the chin and neck. We're going to be spending most of the time in this tutorial on the pencil work. I'm showing you every detail of the initial drawing process because, as I just mentioned, I think what's really useful with these things is just to get the structure right, the correct proportions. And I'm trying to do it, as you can see, with simple lines and simple shapes, nothing too complicated. The other thing to point out is my use of pencil here. I'm all for using a pencil at this stage of the process because it means if you're not quite happy, you can just rub it out and change it, refine it as you go, giving yourself flexibility without the stress of having to get it right first time. Then once we're happy with the pencil drawing, we'll get to inking the lines with a biro later. But for now, I'm just playing it relatively fast and loose and not too bothered about getting it perfect. Here's a good example. I'm just changing the angle of the eyelids a little bit and the shape of the eyes. So we have our rough outline of the hat, and now it's a case of trying to add a little bit of detail to create the furry trim around it. And so again, these are all relatively straightforward, simple pencil marks, kind of like little waves. Next we use the quick lines I drew above the eyes earlier, almost like joining the dots to shape his eyelashes. And then the eyebrows. The Grinch, of course, has a lot of expression in his eyebrows. They're all wrinkly and crinkly, and you'll eventually want to add lots of frown lines on his forehead as well. He is famously a mean one, that Mr. Grinch. Again, you can just slightly change the mouth if needs be. These are the teeth and the tongue, and although we made his nose and eyes a bit off to the left, we're keeping the mouth pretty symmetrical. Once I've added a hint of whiskers, we're going to ink in the lines with a biro. I'm not showing this in detail because it's relatively straightforward once you're happy with your pencil drawing. It's just a case of tracing over and making any final adjustments. I'm using alcohol pens and going simple with this one, so just block colours of red, green, yellow for the eyes, pink for the tongue, and then some black around the edges. And here's a little sense of how the mouth's going to open and close when it's fully folded, and I'll show you that process in a bit. And then we're onto the body, and this first section, this little rectangle, is going to be the connector between the head and the body, and I'll pop the dimensions you need up on the screen in a moment. This other thinner rectangle is going to be a little handle to attach to the body, and then we're going to measure out an area to finish the top of the hat. If we add the little extra bit for the top of the hat here, we're still leaving plenty of room for the body to the left. We start the body with a nice large circle about 8 centimetres in diameter, just a little below the centre of the page, and then a vertical line down and a horizontal line across the bottom. Then add this little oval floating above the circle, and then we join them together at the sides. As you can see, I'm sketching these geometric shapes relatively loosely, finding the form as I go. And already, just with these really simple geometric shapes, you get the sense of what the Grinch's body is going to look like. And then from here, it's just a case of really finding the detail as we go and refining. I'm never really worried about making mistakes when I'm working in pencil because I can just rub it out and redo it until I'm happy. It isn't to everyone's taste and it doesn't necessarily make for the neatest tutorial, but it is the way I've always worked. That is, working and reworking rather than trying to get it perfect first time. My hope is it'll give you a bit more confidence just to get stuck in. Just try to be light with the pencil work so that it's easier to rub out once you've inked over the lines. These are the cuffs and the hands that I'm working on here. As I say, I'm not too worried about accuracy here, as these pencil marks will all eventually get rubbed out. And then here we're adding the trimming of the Grinch's top. We've got a few more details here to add, and then we ink it in with the biro and then rub out the pencil marks before we add the colour. As mentioned earlier, this little section here is going to be a handle to attach to the body of the Grinch, which allows us to anchor the body so we can tilt his head around. We'll come back to that in a second. And this, as I said, is the connector that attaches the head to the body. So we're just going to fold in half and glue it and then score these lines. And then we're going to fold them all. It doesn't matter too much which way you fold them to start with, but you want to fold all of them, including the diagonal ones. And you can see there how it's going to allow the head to articulate on the body, and then we just colour in the opposite side of the section with the diagonal cross green. We'll quickly glue the top of the hat in place. And then we're going to add glue to the two sections on the connector above the section we coloured in green, and glue the top section of the connector to the bottom lip at the back of the puppet's head. Fold that lip over and then fold and glue down the next section onto the front of the lip and press down until fully bonded. Here you can roughly see how to fold the head into that three-dimensional shape, though there's a much better step-by-step tutorial when you buy my universal template that shows really clearly how you're going to do all of these bits. And then we're just going to add some glue to the lower front section of the connector. And that's going to slide through a cut that I've made across the neck area of the body. And once fully through, it glues to the body at the back. Finally, we add on the little handle at the back of the body. And that is a Grinch puppet made from a single sheet of paper.
Hate, 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 double hate, loathe it.